Okay, so this lesson is kind of a one-off lesson that we're squeezing in here between the first half of Unit 1 and the second half of Unit 1, so 1A, or between 1A and 1B, it's the beginning of 1B. These are literal equations. So when we say literal equations, what we mean by literal is real, and these are like real-world formulas that you might use. I'll try to tell you what they are as we go through them. Some of them are more recognizable than others. It is currently first hour. What we are doing with literal equations and why they're going to seem a little bit weird is we are just solving for a variable, solving for a letter, but there's still going to be more letters. So our entire goal is to isolate the variable we are solving for, just like that was our goal for all of the beginning of the unit. At the beginning of the unit, our goal was to just always solve for x. When we are isolating a variable, we still always just use opposite operations. So addition is the opposite of subtraction. Multiplication is the opposite of division. Okay. So our instructions for literal equations are to solve each equation for the specified variable, for the specific variable we're asking you to solve for. We have our notes and our assignment organized side by side. The left side is going to be equations that you're already going to feel like you might be able to solve. So equations that we've seen where there's one variable where we're solving for. So like this one right here, 12 equals 2x, we're going to solve for x. On the right side is going to be an equation that's similar, but instead of having numbers, it's all letters. So the reason we did this is so that you can see that the steps are the same. So we're going to look at this first equation on the left here, 12 equals 2x. If I want to solve for x, first of all, what is keeping x from being by itself? 2. What operation is that 2 doing? Multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. Okay, you guys were able to tell me all of those things. So right here, 12 equals 2x. We're going to divide both sides by 2. 12 divided by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. I almost said 2. I combined 6 and 2. And then 2 over 2 cancels out. So we just have our x. Anytime we solve and we end up with what we're solving for on the right, we want to flip it around at the end. So flip it around at the end and tell us x equals 6. Okay, so you guys just solved an equation by dividing, because dividing undid multiplication. We've got another equation here now. It is A equals WL. So this is the area of a rectangle. Area equals width times length. We are trying to solve for L, solve for the length. What is keeping the L from being by itself? The W. What operation's happening between the W and the L? Multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So see how it's the same steps? So that's what we're trying to get you guys to see. So we're going to divide both sides by W. Divide by W over here. Okay. This W over W cancels. We cannot divide A by W. There aren't numbers. We can't simplify it out. So we are going to leave it with the variables. So A over W equals L. You need to go now. And then we can flip that around at the end, because anytime we're solving for a variable, we want the thing we're solving for on the left. So we're going to flip that around to be L equals A over W as our final answer. Hey, any questions about that first one? Moving on then. We've got 18 equals 5x plus 3. We are going to solve that for x. So we are going to subtract 3 from both sides. 18 minus 3 is 15. That is equal to 5x. And then to get x by itself, I need to divide by 5. So I divide both sides by 5. 15 over 5 is 3. X cancel, so I get 3 equals x, or I flip that around to be x equals 3. Okay, what 2 operations did I do there? What was the first thing I did? Subtract. Somebody else, what was the second thing I did? Divide. Okay, so our next equation is y equals mx plus b. Anybody remember what the equation y equals mx plus b is? M is your slope. Slope something. Yeah, Alonzo?
Intercept?
Slope, intercept. Yeah, so m is your slope, b is your intercept. That's slope, intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, anywho, that's all of unit 2. Get excited. Okay, so for this, we want to solve for x. So that means we need to get rid of the b. So we are going to subtract b from both sides, just like we subtracted 3. And then we can't subtract y minus b, so we just leave it as y minus b. So we've got y minus b equals mx. And then just like our last step here was dividing by 5, our last step here is going to be dividing by the m. So I'm going to divide everything by m. When we divide over here, we need to do a big fraction bar because it's all getting divided by m. Okay, so those m's cancel. So my final answer, y minus b over m equals x. If you want to skip writing that and then just skip straight to having it flipped, because we are going to need to flip it around, x equals y minus b over m. Hey, any questions about that problem? All right, we got one more on this side, and I think we have 2 on the back. I know it's a lot of examples today, but it's like a completely new thing that throws a lot of people off, and trust me, the more examples you have, the better off you're going to be when you get to your notes. But it's really just like 5 examples, but it feels like 10. All right, next one we got is 6x plus 2 times 8 equals 40. So in this one, we left this 2 times 8 separate, and then we can multiply it together real quick. The reason why we left it separate is right here, this by, it can't be put together. So we wanted to have 2 things there, but we can go ahead and multiply that. So 6x plus 2 times 8 is 16 equals 40. And we are trying to solve for x. So this is just a regular schmegular equation. And x is on the left, which is how we like it usually. We are going to subtract 16. So we've got 6x equals 40 minus 16 is 24. And then divide both sides by 6. We get x equals 24 divided by 6 is 4. And this one doesn't need to be flipped around. So once again, the operations on this one were the same as the last one. We probably didn't need both of these. It was subtract, divide. Okay, this problem, we are trying to solve for x. So, we're trying to get the x by itself. We need to get rid of the a. We need to get rid of the plus by. Also, by the way, this problem is on your assignment, but you're solving for y. So pay attention to that. Right now we're solving for x. Later you'll solve for y. Okay. So if over here, the first thing I did was subtract, what am I subtracting over here? by. Say bye to by. So I'm going to subtract that by. I've got ax equals, and then c minus by. I can't actually subtract that, so I leave it as c minus by. And then I divide everything by a. Divide it all by a. And x equals c minus by all over a. Okay, I forgot to tell you what that formula is. That is the formula, that's the equation for a circle. You guys will use that in geometry next year. Probably haven't seen it before because I don't think you do it in any like 8th grade or pre-algebra geometry unit, but you will see that next year. Hey, any questions right now? Okay, flip this over there. We got.
Wait.
Okay. We got 2 more on the back. The first one on the back is introducing a fraction at the beginning, which we know how to deal with when we're solving a normal equation, and we deal with it the same way here. So this problem, I am dividing everything by 4. What is the opposite of dividing? Multiply. So I need to multiply everything by 4. So I'm going to multiply the left side of my equation by 4 and the right side of my equation by 4. These 4's cancel. Boop. I've got 12 here equals p minus 5. Okay. From there, I am going to add 5 to both sides. 12 plus 5 is 17. So I've got 17 equals p. And then we can flip that around and have p equals 17. Okay. Do I know what this formula is? No. Let me look. J equals p minus s all over 4. This might just be a made-up formula. Yeah, I don't think this is a real formula for anything. YOLO. Some of them are real. I was like, what is this? Like, because J is usually joules, perimeter, surface area. What is this? Those aren't the same topic. I don't know. Hey, anywho, we're going to solve for P on it, though. So our steps are going to stand as the same. We are going to multiply and then add. So, just like we multiplied by 4 over here, we're multiplying by 4 over here. 4 times 4. These 4's cancel out, so now I have 4j. Anytime you have a number and a variable, you need to put your coefficient first. So do 4j, don't do j4. 4j, not j4. And that equals p minus s. Okay, what is keeping the p from being by itself?
The S.
The s. What operation is the s doing? Subtracting. Opposite of subtracting is? Adding. So you're just going to add s to both sides. So don't overthink. Ask yourself those 3 questions. What's keeping it from being by itself? Actually, it's just 2 questions. What's the opposite of that? So 4j plus s equals p. And then at the end, we're going to flip that around. P equals 4j plus s. Okay. Any questions before our last one, which is kind of a doozy, but it's maybe the actually most useful one. Okay. Last one on here. C and F. Anybody recognize that formula? What do we measure in C, but also we can measure in F? Temperature, yeah. So this is the formula to get from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So if we know a temperature in Fahrenheit, we can plug it into this to get to Celsius. Fun fact, real world example, I borrowed a thermometer from Mr. David's that was in Celsius to figure out how cold my fridge was because it got left open a teeny tiny bit overnight. And I had to convert it. And then the fridge was like a little bit too warm. And so there's some yogurt in there that I saved, but I can't decide if I'm going to eat it. So it kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies now. Okay, this formula has one weird thing at the beginning, which is this 5/9. Anytime we have a fraction that we want to get rid of, fractions are just division. So we could multiply by 9, and then we would have to divide by 5. I would recommend doing it in the same step. So we are going to multiply both sides of our equation by 9/5. So 9/5, 9/5. What that's going to do, that looks like an 8, not a 9, is this 9 over 9 reduces down to 1. This 5 over 5 reduces down to 1. Then in a calculator, because I guess I could do this in my head, 9 times 30 is 270. 270 divided by 5 is 54. But anyway, in a calculator, I could do 9 divided by 5 times 30. So I don't remember that off the top of my head. 54.
Why'd you flip
Because if I multiply by 9/5, then the 9 over 9 cancels and the 5 over 5 cancels. Yeah. So anytime you want to get rid of a fraction, you can multiply by its reciprocal. You will only have to do that once on your assignment, and we can help you when you get there if you need it. Okay, 9/5 times 30 is 54. And then 54 equals this f minus 32. And then we can add 32 to both sides. (54 plus 32 is 86. So 86 equals F. Let me flip that around. F equals 86. So what that means is that 30 degrees Celsius is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Hey, so last one we're going to do with the same steps. So just like we started by multiplying by 9/5, we're going to start by multiplying by 9/5. So we're going to multiply by 9/5. This 9 over 9 cancels. This 5 over 5 cancels. And now we just have 9/5 C. So I'm just going to leave that as 9 over 5 C equals F minus 32. And then I will add 32 to both sides. I'm going to get 9/5 C plus 32 equals F. And then I can flip that around. F equals 9/5 C plus 32. Okay. Any questions right now? Hey, let's start off Unit 1B, organizing our notebooks correctly. For the most part, most people's notebooks were organized correctly. The one thing is I need you guys to glue notes front and back because these composition notebooks, most of them are only 80 pages, and they used to be 100. And with only 80 pages, we got to glue notes front and back. So you should have your pocket you made. Pocket. And then we had our quick write page. And then on the next right hand, I'm going to leave the back of my quick writes blank in case I use a lot of space on quick writes. But then from there, I'm going to start front, back, front, back. So glue in these notes. We only have about 14 minutes left today. So we're going to get started working on your assignments. But I am going to give you guys time at the beginning of class on Wednesday. And I will tell you, because Wednesday, it's a block day, we have time. And we don't need a rush on Wednesday. So get your notes glued in. I will bring you your assignment. Your assignment has 12 problems on it, but it's really 6 and 6. So it's 6 problems that are like normal-ish. And then the 6 in comparison literal equations. There is a problem on there that uses pi. There's a pi button in your calculator, or you can use 3.14. Up to you. And then what else? Maybe you guys time to work on this tomorrow. My video's still running. I should probably go stop that. Oh, the very last problem is the opposite of the last problem on the notes. I can't think of anything else. Okay. Oh, yeah. I remember what I was going to say. Show your work on the left side ones, because your work on the left side ones is what you're going to need to figure out what operations do on the right side. That's what I was going to say. Bye, video. Sorry, I'm just rambling now.